Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started by just welcoming all of you guys. Welcome to Wat Tung. Nice to see everyone here. Sawadee Kap. Welcome to everyone who's joining online as well. Tonight is our Sunday night meditation where we come together at 6:30 here in the main hall to be able to guide you guys in meditation. And then we're going to open up to any and all questions that you guys have at the end of the meditation. If you have questions about the teachings of the Buddha or any certain aspect of your practice of meditation or the teachings of the Buddha, anything you're seeing here in Thailand, you're welcome to ask any and all questions that you like when we get to that point. If you'd like to join for the meditation, the way that I start is with some chanting in order to ease us into the meditation. I see some of you guys have the chanting sheets. If you would like one of these, they're back there in the back, and you're welcome to chant along with us as we're doing the chanting. During the lifetime of the Buddha, they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally. This is the way that they were able to commit the teachings to memory, because they didn't have books and audiobooks and videos and podcasts and things like this to be able to study the teachings. So they used chanting as a way to commit the teachings to memory. So it was a learning tool. So you can see from the origins of chanting that this isn't a rite or ritual or ceremony, worship or prayer, anything like that. Those things actually don't exist in the teachings of the Buddha. If you're seeing those kinds of things attributed to the teachings of the Buddha, they're not actually part of the teachings of the Buddha. He never taught any rites, rituals, ceremonies, worship or prayer. He taught to train the mind. So the way that we use these chants today is to ease the mind in the meditation and actually get more benefit out of the meditation itself. You'll be able to see through chanting that you'll actually experience an improved meditation session by doing that. In terms of the chants themselves, if you look at the English translations, you're going to see a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of this, I don't think the Buddha even created these chants, because a Buddha wouldn't walk around and say, "Here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me." This would be the ego and arrogance and putting yourself above other people. And by the time you've gotten to this enlightened mental state, which a Buddha has gotten to that mental state, they wouldn't be thinking of themselves as being above other people. They would just think of themselves as being equal to everybody. So I'm sure the Buddha didn't create these chants. They probably came from his students, either during his life or after his death. Because what the Buddha did is he figured out how to get to enlightenment and train the mind to get to this peaceful and joyful mental state. And then he spent the rest of his life sharing those teachings with other people to be able to help them to get to that same mental state. And if you learn from a teacher how to move from the anger and sadness and frustration and all these other discontent feelings to the peace and joy that is enlightenment, and this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, you'd probably have a lot of respect and gratitude for that person too. So that's where I suspect these chants actually came from, is his students. After the chanting, I'm going to come in with some guidance to be able to help you during the meditation, where I'm essentially going to be teaching you and instructing you how to meditate while we're actually meditating together. Then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet and we're just all meditating together. Everyone here at the temple and anyone joining us at home will just all be meditating at the same time. Now, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds, especially since we're out here in the main hall and the market's going on right there. You'll probably hear announcements and maybe dogs barking or people chatting and things like this. This is all impermanence. This is a good challenge for your mind. Meditating in complete silence is not permanent. You're not going to be able to find a place to meditate every single time in silence. And if your mind has a craving to meditate in silence, and you're craving that permanent silence, when you hear a sound during your meditation, you'll cause your mind to be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. But if you understand the world around you is constantly changing, that it's impermanent, then when you hear different sounds in the environment, you'll be completely comfortable with that. All these sounds are going to arise, they're going to change, and they're going to fade away. Things are impermanent. They're constantly changing. For example, this mic stand used to work 2.5, 3 years ago. Now it's starting to lose its tension and it's not working anymore. So I need to get a new mic stand after I've replaced it or repaired it 2 or 3 times. So everything's constantly changing. We can just understand this is impermanence. But when your mind craves permanence, you'll be angry or frustrated or annoyed when you're not getting what you want. So during the time of meditation where it's quiet, I'm sure there's going to be certain sounds, and you can just rest at ease, understanding this is the world working the way it's intended to work with impermanence. Then we're going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting, and that's where I'm going to open up to whatever questions you guys have as part of our time together this evening. In terms of your position of meditation, there's 4 positions that the Buddha taught: seated, lying, standing, and walking. And you would learn these different positions at different times in your journey to enlightenment. It's kind of like creating a tool belt for yourself. And you could learn these and employ these at different times because your body can't be in the same position permanently. There's different positions that you might decide to use for different reasons. But oftentimes when people are first starting, they're learning in the seated position. So I'll give you guys a little bit of guidance in the seated position to be able to help you find something that's more comfortable for you if you're not currently comfortable. There's no fixed way to sit. You can sit however you like. There's not just one specific way for everybody to sit because that would be permanence. Everybody's body's different and we're going to find different things to be comfortable. You could be sitting on the floor, in a chair. Maybe if you're at home, you're on a bench or a sofa or in a wheelchair. You can sit however you like. So what I'm going to share with you are just things for you to consider, some things to think about. And if you would like to employ any of these things, you can. But even if there's something that feels comfortable to you that I haven't taught, use that. The important thing is that the body's comfortable, not luxurious and not painful, but in the middle where it's comfortable. So if you're on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This will kind of help to make it soft and comfortable for you to sit. And if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you might just decide to do that lightly because that'll allow the circulation to flow. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. That gets your hips up in the air and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles, allowing the circulation to flow. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. And if this is comfortable for you, you could use it, but not everybody's going to find that comfortable. So there's other options as well. You could put your palms on your thighs or your knees. Some people like to put their palms up or even just rest their hands comfortably on their lap. So you can put your hands and arms wherever you like. If you're in a chair, on a sofa, a bench, or a wheelchair, you can also sit however you're comfortable. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly crossed at the ankles. But I have a chair over there in the classroom that I sit in where I cross my legs. So that's an option for you as well. You can sit however you're comfortable. And then for those of you guys that are in a chair or on a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair, you can also put your hands and arms wherever you like as well. In terms of your upper body, it's helpful if this is erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back. This is going to help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation. Because what meditation is it's a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you would like the mind to be attentive and alert during this training. Whereas if you were slouched, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So by having the upper body erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back, not only is it going to help keep the mind attentive and alert, but it's going to help it so that you can breathe in through the nose and out through the nose more easily. So again, I'm going to do some chanting to ease us into meditation. You guys are welcome to join in. You'll see more benefit in your meditation that way. And then afterwards, I'll come in with the guidance. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakhato Mahakavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Savakasangho Sanghang Namami Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Rasa Bhagavato สัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุตตรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามานุสรังพุทโธภาควาติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start focusing the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. หังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเขวาโพตังมหาเขวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะเขวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิจาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุตตรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตวามนุสนังพุทโธภควาติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to everyone. Nice to see everyone here this evening. Welcome to everyone who's joining online as well. This meditation is called Breathing Mindfulness Meditation. This is the primary form of training that the Buddha used in terms of meditation, but you need other things besides meditation to get to enlightenment. You wouldn't be able to just meditate your way to enlightenment. One of the biggest myths about the life story of the Buddha is people think he sat under a tree, he meditated, and instantly got to enlightenment. This isn't actually true. You can see it in his own words, in his teachings. He talks about gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress. And he shares an entire path to enlightenment. It's called the Eightfold Path. This is the core central teaching of the Buddha that's slowly guiding you to be able to train your mind to get to this enlightened mental state. What enlightenment is where the mind's completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. The enlightened mind no longer experiences any discontent feelings. The mind will no longer experience any anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings and others are eliminated from the enlightened mind. And this comes through training of the mind. And you'll notice that by the time you get to enlightenment, that your mind is focused, you have concentration, clarity, and deep memory, because your mind doesn't have these pollutions any longer. The Buddha discovered certain pollutions in the mind and how to uproot those and get rid of them out of the mind. And when you get rid of those, the mind will perform optimally. You'll notice that your personal and professional relationships are really blossoming, because in the unenlightened state, you're going to have a certain amount of bitterness and harshness and hostility in your mind. And when you're putting that out in your relationships, it's going to come back to you. Oftentimes people think that it's other people who are causing you to be angry and frustrated or irritated or annoyed or any of these other discontent feelings. But what you can come to understand through the teachings of the Buddha in a way that you independently verify and see the truth for yourself is that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings. This is why you can eliminate them. If it was other people who was causing these feelings for you, you would never be able to eliminate those feelings because you can't train 8 billion people in the world to do things a certain way. But you can train your mind to get to this enlightened mental state through the training that the Buddha describes. And by the time you get to this mental state, you won't even experience a bad mood any longer. It's physically impossible for the mind to experience a bad mood because the causes and conditions that are producing these types of things have been uprooted and eliminated from the mind. The main thing that the Buddha discovered that's causing these feelings is called craving, desire, attachment. The mind's wants and expectations. The mind is longing, yearning, wanting things to be permanent. And if the mind gets what it wants, it gets happy or excited. It gets pleasant feelings. It gets thrilled or euphoria. But if the mind doesn't get what it wants, then it experiences painful feelings like anger, sadness, or frustration, all those others, irritation, annoyance, stress, anxiety, things like this. And then there's neither painful nor pleasant feelings like the shyness in the mind or uncomfortableness or dissatisfaction. All of this is being caused by the same exact thing, which is craving, desire, attachment. So for example, think back to a boyfriend or girlfriend that you might have got together with. When you first got together with them, you were probably so happy, so excited, because the mind was getting what it wanted. It was getting its expectations fulfilled, that maybe this person was showing you affection. Maybe they were calling you, checking in on you. Maybe they were sending you text messages and seeing how you're doing. Maybe you're going to the movies, going to dinner, going to the park, having great conversations. Maybe you were even having sexual contact. And this was very pleasurable for you because the mind was getting what it wanted. But over time, there was more and more expectations that came into the mind, wanting this person to be a certain way. And they probably had the same thing going on in their mind too, where they were wanting you to be a certain way. And you couldn't meet those expectations permanently, and they couldn't meet your expectations permanently. And at some point, you guys broke up. And now you might have been frustrated or angry or lonely or bored, or you might have been missing this person. This was because your mind was holding on and craving permanence. It wasn't your love or your care that was causing those painful feelings. It was the mind wanting this relationship to be permanent. It was holding on to it. The mind didn't understand that this relationship was impermanent. So as long as your mind was holding on, then it was experiencing that boredom or loneliness or frustration, or you were missing this person. So what this meditation is doing for you is it's training your mind to let go. Because that's what the unenlightened mind doesn't know how to do. It's holding on and holding on and holding on. So when you're focused on the breath, you're developing concentration. And then when your mind moves off the breath, you're developing mindfulness or awareness of mind. And then when you cut that off and let it go and come back to the breath, you're training your mind to let go. So if 10, 15, 20, 30 times during your meditation, you had to let go, this is actually really good for your mind, because the mind doesn't know how to let go in the unenlightened state. But when you do let go, that's where your mind's peaceful and joyful, because that boyfriend or girlfriend that you broke up with, at some point your mind let go. And that's where the peace and the joy came in. That you were like, you know what? If he wants to be with someone else, so be it. And you let go. Or if she wants to move to a different part of the world, so be it. And you let go. And when your mind let go, that's where your peace and your joy came back into the mind. So the Buddha is teaching you how to train your mind to be able to let go. In this particular meditation, a breathing mindfulness meditation, the goal isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Sometimes people think that's the case based on the guidance. So if you had lots of thoughts during the meditation, that's normal, especially when you first start. You'll have lots and lots and lots of thoughts. Or you might have had a thought and you followed it for a period of time. You kind of looked at it, maybe played with it, indulged in it. And then maybe 2 or 3 minutes down the road, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm meditating. And you brought your mind back to the breath. This is normal for the mind that is untrained. So during this meditation, even when you're enlightened, you're still going to have thoughts. But the difference is that you'll notice your thought right away, you'll cut it off and let it go and bring it right back to the breath. And then you're going to have quietness and stillness in your mind, where in the unenlightened mind, you don't have that quietness and stillness so much because you have all this bombardment of thoughts, or you indulge in a thought. So this is a meditation that you can be doing consistently. You would like to gradually build up to 2 or 3 sessions per day for 30 minutes. That's the ideal amount of time. And that can sound like a lot of time for somebody. But if you look at your life, there's probably certain unbeneficial things that you're doing that if you chose to let those things go, you'd have more time to focus on things like this that would improve your mind. So if you're doing social media or YouTube for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, you could probably scale that back a little bit and you'd have more time for actually doing something like meditation. But it's important to understand this 2 to 3 sessions of 30 minutes, it can take you 6 months, a year, even 2 years to build up to that. You can't just snap your fingers and instantly start doing that. When I first started meditating, I think I was able to meditate for like a minute. That's about all I was able to do. And then you just gradually expand it from there, and you gradually build it up more and more. And just understand that you're in your own personal journey to enlightenment. You're not in a race with anyone. You're not in a competition with anybody. It's your own journey to enlightenment. And what a teacher is we're like a tour guide, pointing out for you the things that you need to learn and understand in order to make your way to enlightenment. But it's you that's doing all the work in your day-to-day practice. So there's more than just meditation that you would need to know in order to get to enlightenment, but you also wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation either. You're going to need some amount of meditation. So this holding on and this craving for permanence is what's causing these discontent feelings. And you can independently verify this for yourself. You can look at your own life at a recent time when you were angry or frustrated or irritated or annoyed. It might have been this morning or yesterday or last week or something like this. And if you look at that situation, you can see there was something your mind was longing, yearning for. And if you would have got it, you would have been happy. But since you didn't get it, your mind got angry or frustrated or annoyed. And what the mind's typically going to do when you're experiencing these painful feelings is your mind's going to attribute it to something external. And you're going to start trying to look for somebody to blame for the feelings that you're experiencing. And what the mind will typically do is it'll push people away, or it'll push the situation away. You might have pushed away friends or family in your day-to-day life. This is what the unenlightened mind does. You don't need to feel guilty or shameful about this. It's just what the mind does because of its lack of wisdom. It will tend to push people away, or it'll push the situation away. But you can see that that doesn't solve the problem because your mind still gets angry. You still get annoyed. If this was the true cause of the problem, when you push those people away, you would be peaceful and joyful from that point forward. But you can see that that didn't solve the problem. Or the second thing you'll do is you might be bitter and harsh and hostile to people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions, because the mind firmly believes in the unenlightened state that these discontent feelings are being caused by something external, so it feels justified in its unwise moral conduct, being bitter and harsh and hostile. It's almost like an animal kind of growling and roaring at another animal, trying to fear that being into doing things your way, because the mind's trying to get its cravings fulfilled, and it thinks if I be bitter and harsh and hostile to this person, they will do things my way and then I'll get what I want. Or the third thing you might do is you might put your expectations on people and try to pressure them or force them into doing things your way. And people might be doing these kinds of things to you too. And it's not comfortable to be in those kinds of relationships. There can be disharmony in those relationships. And as long as you're pushing people away, being bitter, harsh, and hostile, or putting your expectations on people, you can't live with all beings harmoniously. Because if you can only live and be comfortable and peaceful with people who do things your way, there's only one person who does things your way. Do you know who that person is that does things your way? Who's the one person in the world that does things your way all the time? Yeah, yourself, right? That's it. So if you can only be peaceful and joyful with people who do things your way, you're the only person you can hang out with, right? And you might even have difficulties doing that sometimes, right? So you like to get to the point where you understand impermanence, that things are constantly changing, and not everybody's going to do things the same way. And your mind doesn't crave for things to be permanent. And this meditation is an important part of that, but also generosity. Giving and sharing, training your mind to share with other beings without any expectation of anything in return. If your mind is sharing with others and you're expecting something back, you're not yet practicing pure generosity. The mind is still having craving, desire, attachment, where it's longing, yearning. So the Buddha teaches you to give and share with others around you without any expectation of anything in return. So I'm just going to stop here and see if you guys have any questions. It's just a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha, helping you understand how this meditation fits into the overall picture of how to move the mind to enlightenment. If you guys would like to ask questions about anything related to meditation or Buddhism or your own personal challenges or anything you're seeing in Thailand or anything, you're welcome to do that. We have microphones here in the middle of the room. All you need to do is get a microphone, press the gray button. There's lights that come on, and if you hold it up to your chin, we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. And then you can keep these microphones with you because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can share the microphone. And if you're not using it, if you could turn it off, that'll make sure we don't get feedback through the speakers. And then anybody who's online, if you guys would like to ask questions, you can put it into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom, or you can raise your hand in Zoom, unmute your microphone, and ask any questions you like that way. So is there anybody here online that has a question? No questions? Let's see. I don't see any questions online either. No questions, huh? Okay, well, if you guys don't have any questions, what I'm going to do is end by just thanking you guys for being interested to learn the teachings of the Buddha. Thank you for joining us for the meditation. If you'd like to learn more, there's plenty of opportunities for you to do that. This evening at 9 p.m., I'm going to be teaching in our classroom over there. It's quite a bit quieter, and we have air conditioning, and it's quite a bit more comfortable, I think. Over here is beautiful, though, with all the artwork and all this kind of stuff. So you're welcome to join for meditation over there, and I'm actually going to be teaching a class, which is part of our group learning program. So after the meditation, I'm going to be going in depth and teaching some very specific things related to the path to enlightenment. We actually use a book called Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment, as our core text for that particular program. And each Sunday I go chapter by chapter, helping students to be able to understand the path to enlightenment. It's a 7-month program that you can learn in person while people are here in Thailand, or you can also learn online because we live stream all of our classes, and they're also recorded, so you can watch it at your own pace too. So if you'd like to learn more, you're welcome to join us this evening at 9 p.m. And we also teach at Wednesday. I'm going to be doing loving kindness meditation and then opening up to questions that students have. And then on Fridays, we have a social event here. This particular Friday, we're having game night where the students come together and we just hang out over there in our classroom. We play music, we have snacks, we play some games. Sometimes we have movie night. This past week we had movie night. So this week coming up, we have game night where we'll play games and hang out, play some music with each other, just to have a good time. And then on Saturday and Sunday over the weekend, we have regular classes. You can see our whole program of classes and courses and retreats using our website where there's an events calendar, because next week we have a full course that's going to be happening. We have a Monday through Friday course called The Foundation and the Path to Enlightenment. And all these different courses and books and videos and even personal guidance is all available for you at no cost. So if you'd like to join any of these programs to be able to learn how to get to this enlightened mental state so that you can heal from what hurt you, so that you never need to hurt ever again, that's what the teachings of the Buddha are for. It's to do this inner work and train your mind and get to the point where you don't have to feel these painful feelings any longer. You can get to the point where the mind's completely peaceful and joyful. But what's hurting you is inside one's own mind. It's not the outside world. You'll never get to peace and joy by trying to change other people. You need to train your own mind, and that's what's going to help you to get to the peace and joy. So whatever you choose to do today, have a very wonderful and lovely rest of your day. Perhaps we'll see you next time. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.